After returning to Snow Cottage, Su settled down on the customary bench under the tree, and Jinrui poured him a cup of hot tea with his own hands, moving a wooden stool to sit silently beside him for a long time before softly uttering, "I'm sorry." Su's gaze slowly fell upon Jinrui's face. This young man with dual identities had now regained his usual gentle and refined demeanor, with a soft expression and clear gaze, completely devoid of the fierceness and determination from earlier. Yet as Su looked at him, there was an indescribable tremor in his heart. He had initially thought of him as a simple and amiable child, but he never expected this young man to hold such a steadfast and unalterable principle when it came to friendship and personal character. Even though he didn't desire to meet the Empress at this moment, if he were to meet her, he may still be able to handle it. Nevertheless, being blocked by Jinrui and hearing him tirelessly defend him, he couldn't help but feel a hint of emotion. If all the people in the world could be like Jinrui, then perhaps this world could be much more beautiful. It's a pity that too many people cannot achieve this, including oneself. Brother Su, I implore you not to hold a grudge against Shibi. In truth, he harbored no malicious intent towards you. He simply held unwavering support for Prince Yu and held a deep admiration for your intellect, remarked Jinrui, uncertain of the true meaning behind Su's expression and growing increasingly uneasy. Originally, you came to Jinling to distance yourself from the turmoil of the martial world, yet now you find yourself embroiled in such troubles. With a slight smile, Su reached out and patted Jinrui's knee, whispering, "Anger is not necessary. I understand that everyone has their own reasons for doing things, including Shibi. It's just that everyone is too focused on their own interests, and many troubles in the world arise as a result. Whether it's the martial world or the court, what's the difference? Northern Yan and Dayu fight over the throne with swords and blades, and Great Liang are no exception. In the past, before you came to Jinling, you had already mentioned the need to conceal your identity." Jinrui lowered his head with a despondent look. "I promised you that I could keep it a secret, but I failed to deliver." "How could this be your fault?" "If we trace it back to the root cause, it was my oversight in not reminding Filiu to be cautious," Su replied. Jinrui shook his head and said earnestly, "Brother Su doesn't need to pretend to not see the truth just to make me feel better. After what happened today, we should all understand that even if Filiu hadn't encountered General Meng on the narrow road yesterday, Shibi would still have revealed Brother Su's identity to Prince Yu. How about we flee the capital city under the cover of night?" Su said jokingly to ease the tension. "Brother Su." Jinrui couldn't help but cry out in a mix of laughter and exasperation. "All right, let's not worry." Su leaned back in his chair and smiled, trying to ease the tension. "Since we're already here, we might as well make the best of it. There's always a way out when we reach the mountain pass. They are all desperately trying to recruit talent, and since I have unfortunately caught their attention, fleeing back to Jiangzhou Alliance will only bring trouble and invite accusations from the Alliance members that I'm a bringer of disaster. It's better to stay in the capital and observe the situation. After they have watched me for a while, they will naturally realize that I am actually a useless scholar. Even if I want to approach them, they wouldn't bother with me." Although Jinrui knew it couldn't be that simple, he couldn't help but smile at the playful remark, and all his worries vanished in an instant. The refusal to meet did not ultimately cause any disturbance. The Queen and Princess Nihuang departed quietly, suggesting that Shibi's diplomatic skills are truly impressive. The dinner that evening was also peaceful, with the Duke of Ningguo and Princess Liang avoiding any mention of the Snow Cottage guest. Shibi was visibly upset, eating only half a bowl of rice before retiring to his room. When Jinrui came to visit him later, he did not take out his frustration on his brother, but rather asked Jinrui to apologize to Su on his behalf. He then claimed to feel unwell and went to bed early. On the following day, Eugen came to invite everyone for a fun outing, only to be surprised to find that each person appeared listless and lacking energy. He immediately suspected that he might have missed out on some exciting event and quickly seized Jingrui, urging him to reveal what had transpired. Despite his persistent questioning, Eugen was still unable to extract any useful information. Fortunately, he finally recalled that the next day was the first day of the Princess Nihuang's husband selection ceremony, and that he must conserve his energy and make a final push towards his goal of winning the heart of his beloved. Thus, he ceased tormenting his friends and went back to his residence to rest languidly. Outside the Zhuke Gate of the Golden City Palace in Great Liang stands a magnificent pavilion, built to royal standards with vermilion beams and glazed tiles. It is named Phoenix Welcoming, and since the reign of the third emperor, all ceremonial events of the Great Liang royal family, such as weddings and coming-of-age ceremonies, have been held there for the people to celebrate. Although Princess Nihuang is not of imperial blood, her achievements have shaken the world, and her reputation is illustrious. She has always received special treatment in the Great Liang court that surpasses that of imperial princesses. Therefore, it is only natural that her husband selection ceremony is held at the Phoenix Welcoming Pavilion. A month ago, the emperor ordered the Ministry of Works to send officials to build a platform on the vast square in front of the Phoenix Welcoming Pavilion, surrounded by colorful awnings for the nobles to sit and enjoy, while ordinary officials and other dignitaries sat outside the awnings. Beyond that, a circle of commoners who had been vetted and authorized to enter and observe from a distance. Meanwhile, the common people, of course, were blocked by the barriers and had no chance to participate in the grand event, only able to stay far away and listen to the news for some relief. Although only a small number of people could witness the grand event firsthand, the significance of this matter was self-evident, and it could even be said that the attention of the whole world had already been focused on the platform outside the Zhuke Gate, waiting for the most thrilling and exciting competition to begin. And among them, the victor will obtain the most difficult but also the most outstanding woman in the world. As a guest of honor from the Duke of Ninggua's residence, it was natural for them to be seated in the brocade shed, and it was agreed upon that they would all go to witness the grand event. However, due to the recent turmoil, Jingrui was uncertain whether he should bring Su to such a public occasion, and he hesitated for a moment. But Su, the party involved, paid no attention to his dilemma. He neither expressed his intention to attend nor refused to go. Instead, he watched Jingrui pacing back and forth with a furrowed brow, contemplating and considering, while amusing Filiu with great enthusiasm. "What are you all doing? It's so late and you haven't left yet." With this complaint came Eugen, the royal nephew. Today he was dressed in a new set of coordinated clothes, with his hair tied back with a silver ring, looking extremely handsome and dashing. Standing at the door of the snow cottage, he confidently shouted, "Hurry up and let's go. In half an hour, even the emperor will be leaving from the Xingqian palace. Why are you still babbling here?" Jingrui heaved a sigh and said, "I'm wondering if I should go today." "Of course, we should go. Although it's not our turn to play today, we've already signed up, so we should at least go and observe our future opponents," replied Eugen. "I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Brother Su. Brother Su should definitely go. With such a big event happening, how can you not bring Brother Su to watch?" "What else would he do in the capital?" retorted Eugen. Jingrui still wore a solemn expression as he sighed, "You don't know. At such an occasion, where all the important figures gather, who knows what might happen if Brother Su goes? Yesterday's trouble is still fresh in my mind." Eugen tilted his head, pondering for a moment before bursting into laughter. "That's exactly why he should go. If Brother Su stays in the snow cottage, the crown prince and the prince you might come up with excuses to visit. Then it would be difficult to explain who came first, who said what, and who gave what. But if Brother Su goes today, he can get to know all the people he needs to know in one go, and show his unwillingness to be recruited. This way, no one can claim to have acted first, and it will actually make things easier in the future. Su stopped adjusting Filiu's hairband, lifted his head and admired Yujin with approval. This young master was not someone who loved strategy, yet he always had a keen sense of the essence of things, which could not be denied as a natural gift. You make a good point, Jingrui, who also did not like to dwell on these power struggles, had been thinking about it all morning for Su's sake, and his head was already starting to ache. Yujin's words immediately convinced him, and he felt much more relaxed. If Brother Su is not planning anything, shall we go then?